Hello, and welcome to my channel. In this video, we'll be taking a closer look at the several tips for improving your photography skills. There are several tips for improving your photography skills. Firstly, it is important to hold your camera properly to avoid camera shake and blurry images. This can be done by gripping the camera with both hands, with the right hand on the right side of the camera and the left hand supporting the weight of the lens. It is also helpful to keep the camera close to your body for added stability, or to lean against a wall or crouch down on your knees. Another tip is to shoot in RAW file format, which captures all image data recorded by the camera's sensor and gives more control in post-processing, although it does take up more space and require photo editing software. Understanding the exposure triangle, which refers to ISO, aperture, and shutter speed, is also essential for achieving well-lit and sharp photos in manual mode. Aperture is particularly important for portraits, with a wider aperture, lower f-number, keeping the subject sharp and blurring out any distractions in the background, while a narrow aperture, higher f-number, is better for landscapes and other scenes where you want everything in focus. It is also important to get familiar with your camera's white balance settings to ensure accurate color representation in your photos, and to experiment with different compositions and perspectives to add interest to your shots. Finally, it is helpful to practice regularly and seek out feedback and guidance from other photographers to improve your skills. Be careful when using the on-camera flash, as it can cause red eyes and harsh shadows. If possible, try to increase the ISO or use off-camera lighting instead. If you must use the built-in flash, you can try reducing its brightness or diffusing the light by covering it with paper or tape or bouncing it off the ceiling with a piece of white cardboard. Adjust the white balance to capture colors more accurately, as different types of light can affect the hue or temperature of your images. Your camera may have several standard white balance settings, such as automatic, daylight, cloudy, flash, shade, fluorescent, and tungsten, which can be selected according to the type of light you are shooting in. Use the histogram to accurately check the exposure of your images, as the LCD screen may not always give an accurate representation. The histogram is a graph that shows the tonal range of an image, with the left side representing the blacks or shadows and the right side representing the whites or highlights. If the graph is skewed to the right, the image may be overexposed, while if it is skewed to the left, it may be underexposed. Experiment with perspective by changing the angle from which you shoot a subject or scene. This can add interest and change the feel of a photograph, and can be done by getting down to the level of animals or children or shooting from above or below. Use the rule of thirds, which suggests that pictures are more balanced and interesting when the subject or important elements of a scene are positioned along the lines or at the intersections of a grid that divides the image into 9 equal sections. This can create more tension and energy in a photograph. Pay attention to the background of your images, as it can affect the overall composition and impact of the photograph. Avoid including distracting elements in the background and try to use the background to enhance the subject or tell a story. Practice regularly and seek out feedback and guidance from other photographers to improve your skills. You can also try shooting in different environments and lighting conditions, and experimenting with different compositions, subjects, and techniques to expand your capabilities and find your own style. When shooting portraits, ensure that the eyes of your subject are in focus, as they are a crucial facial feature and the first thing that people often look at. Use a single focus point and aim it at one of the eyes, then press the shutter button halfway down and move the camera slightly to recompose the shot and include the second eye. Pay attention to the background of your images, as it can distract from the main subject of the photograph or affect the overall composition. Try to keep it simple and clutter-free, with muted colors and plain patterns, and consider moving your subject or changing your angle to avoid distracting elements. If necessary, you can also use a wider aperture and get in close to your subject to obscure the background. Invest in a tripod to help you take sharp photos in low light without raising the ISO too much and to allow you to experiment with long exposure photography. When choosing a tripod, consider its weight, stability, and height. Shoot during the early morning and evening, also known as the golden hour, for softer and warmer light that can add a serene feel to your photos. This is especially useful for landscapes, portraits, and still life. Invest in good photo editing software, such as Adobe Photoshop or Lightroom, to perform basic editing tasks like cropping, adjusting exposure, white balance, and contrast, and removing blemishes. Be selective when sharing your photos, and only show your best work rather than overwhelming your audience with mediocre shots. Consider narrowing down your shots to a few very good photos from each shoot, and experiment with different compositions and techniques to find your own style. Take breaks and try something new to keep your photography fresh and exciting. This can include shooting in new locations, taking on different subjects or genres, or trying out new techniques or equipment. Stay up to date with the latest trends and techniques by reading photography blogs and joining online communities or forums. And this is the end of today's quick video. Enjoy rest of your day.